Today, I am going to talk about a fractal. I learned it when I was a high school student, and I felt this is really interesting. So, I chose it as a topic to introduce to you. First, I will start with a definition of fractals. What is a fractal? A fractal is a never ending pattern. Fractals are infinitely complex patterns that are self similar across different scales. They are created by repeating a simple process over and over in an ongoing feedback loop, driven by recursion. Fractals are images of dynamic systems, the pictures of chaos. Geometrically, they exist in between or familiar dimensions. Fractal patterns are extremely familiar, since nature is full of fractals. For instance, trees, rivers, coastlines, mountains, clouds, seashells, hurricanes, etc. Abstract fractals, such as the Mandelbrot set, can be generated by a computer calculating a simple equation over and over. Where do we find fractals? We can find fractals in nature and geometry. Let's talk about natural fractal first. Fractals are found all over nature. Spanning a huge range of scales, we find the same patterns again and again. Form neurons and river networks. Neurons from the human cortex. The branching of our brain cells creates the incredibly complex network that is responsible for all we perceive. I imagine and remember. River network in China, formed by erosion from repeated rainfall flowing downhill for millions of years. The spiral is another extremely common fractal in nature, found over a huge range of scales. Biological spirals are found in the plant and animal kingdoms, and non-living spirals are found in the turbulent swirling of fluids and in the pattern of star formation in galaxies. All fractals are formed by simple repetition, and combining expansion and rotation is enough to generate the ubiquitous spiral. Look at these two pictures. A hurricane is a self-organizing spiral in the atmosphere, driven by the evaporation and condensation of seawater. Also, a spiral galaxy is the largest natural spiral comprising hundreds of billions of stars. Purely geometric fractals can be made by repeating a simple process. The Sierpinski triangle is made by repeatedly removing the middle triangle from the prior generation. The number of colored triangles increases by a factor of 3 each step. 1, 3, 9, 27, 81, 243, 729, etc. The Koch curve is made by repeatedly replacing each segment of a generator shape with a smaller copy of the generator. At each step, or iteration, the total length of the curve gets longer, eventually approaching infinity. Much like a coastline, the length of the curve increases the more closely you measure it. I showed you what and where fractals is. Then, the last question is, what are fractals useful for? Nature has used fractal designs for at least hundreds of millions of years. Only recently have human engineers begun copying natural fractals for inspiration to build successful devices. A computer chip cooling circuit etched in a fractal branching pattern, developed by researchers at Oregon State University. The device channels liquid nitrogen across the surface to keep the chip cool. Fractal antennas developed by Fractana in the US and Fractus in Europe are making their way into cell phones and other devices. Because of their fractal shapes, these antennas can be very compact while receiving radio signals across a range of frequencies. Thank you for watching my presentation. Hope you have a wonderful day.